has truly been an honor for me to be able to work with Governor Bryant Sandoval for the last 2 years. I first met him before he had actually accepted taking on the role as our chair. I flew to Vegas, met him in his Vegas governor's office there, not in Carson City, and we had a great opportunity to talk. And I knew it was going to be a fun 2 years. I just didn't realize how well his needs, his leadership, and our needs were going to mesh. It's been tremendous to watch him not only lead us through these last 2 national forums and our winter commissioner meetings, but really on a lot of the outreach that he's done with governors and chief state school officers to help them when ECS wanted to be more engaged in those states. More importantly, the victories that he's had in his legislature for major education agendas have been important. And he's really the poster child of what we want to do. He learns about issues from different states through our work, and he automatically takes it to his staff, and it starts to become a reality to benefit all of his students in Nevada and all of his voters who are out there. A few of the bills, I don't think we're going to get through all 25 that the governor passed this year, but a few that haven't been mentioned yet, they passed some major legislation on anti-bullying laws. They also put in some scholarship programs for high-quality teachers that will be in the most at-risk schools. There's a lot of funding that went in for English language learners and Zoom, but as the governor mentioned, the Victory Schools are an amazing opportunity in Nevada. They are putting over $50 million into the 20 poorest zip codes in his state to not only guarantee quality education, but wraparound services for those students too. And it will be really fun to look at that 4 years from now and see what the outcomes are and what's really come from that. It is my honor to invite Governor Sandoval up to the stage, not just to give awards, but to receive an award from all of us at the Education Commission of the States to honor him for the leadership and the service that he has given us over the last 2 years. Please join me in welcoming Governor Sandoval.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm not going to give an acceptance speech, but I do want to thank Jeremy for his kind words, and again, thank all of you for the opportunity to work with you. And just briefly, a little more about ECS and why I'm here today, because as a governor, you have to go to a lot of different meetings, and you're invited to join a lot of different organizations. And this one really hit me square in the heart. And it emboldened me. It shamed me. Because I knew that we could do better in Nevada. And it inspired me. So I really do appreciate the recognition, but at the same time, I have a lot of thanks and gratitude to all of you for helping point me in the right direction to get things done in my state. So I truly appreciate the applause, and I appreciate the support. And you know, the other thing that's going to show is, although I won't be the chairman anymore, I'm going to still attend because I really do get a lot out of this, and think there's even more opportunity to bring these assets and great ideas to the great state of Nevada. So with that, I'm really pleased to start our awards ceremony. One of the important items we do every year at the National Forum on Education Policy is to spend a few moments celebrating successes during our awards luncheon. Taking this time to recognize our colleagues for their outstanding progress they're making is one of my favorite parts of this event. Many of you know that the Education Commission of the States and the National Conference of State Legislatures have partnered for many years on the Legislative Education Staff Network, or LESN, which I thought was really clever, L-E-S-N. Each year, LESN recognizes a legislative staff member who has provided exemplary service. Yesterday, that award was given to Paul Headley, Deputy Division Manager from the Idaho Legislature. Paul has held a leadership role in LESN for many years, providing invaluable guidance and direction for the network. He has also committed 14 years to the Idaho Legislature. Just last year, Paul played a very important role in the passage of expansive and long-sought legislation to build and fund an Idaho career ladder for public school teachers. Paul, if you'd please stand and be recognized. Where are you, Paul? There he is. Give him a big hand. Paul, thank you again. The late Frank Newman served as president for the Education Commission of the States for 14 years. In 2005, an award was created in his honor to recognize states or territories for innovation and excellence in education policy. The criteria for receiving this award includes education improvement efforts that are bold, replicable, and hold valuable lessons for other states, and efforts that have been bipartisan and have had broad-based support. This year, the Education Commission of the States is recognizing the Commonwealth of Kentucky and its Department of Education for their work in increasing college and career readiness. Kentucky's ambitious initiative, Unbridled Learning, College Career Readiness for All, is truly an example of moving the needle. Unbridled Learning has boosted student achievement in several ways, and these are great. In 2014, more than 62% of all graduates were considered ready to take credit-bearing college courses or a post-secondary training program. This is a 34% increase from 2010. What an accomplishment. Yeah, go ahead. Kentucky has also seen significant gains in the percent of high school graduates entering college meeting statewide standards for English and math. Their 4th and 8th graders continue to outperform their peers nationally in reading and score significantly above the national average in science. The work in Kentucky is making a remarkable difference in the lives and success of their students. Their work is absolutely deserving of this year's Frank Newman Award for State Innovation. Here to accept the award are Commissioner of Education, Dr. Terry Holliday, Chair of the Kentucky Board of Education, Roger Markham, and Policy Advisor for the Kentucky Department of Education, Marianne Miller. If you would please come up and be recognized.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. On behalf of the rest of my colleagues on the Kentucky Board of Education, as well as the board's executive director, Marianne Miller, who composed the nomination, and the great staff at the Kentucky Department of Education that supports us, thank you for this great honor. Commissioner Holliday, I'd also like to express my appreciation to you for submitting the nomination of the board for the Frank Newman Award for State Innovation, but most of all for leading the Kentucky Department of Education and the schools and districts of the state in implementing the board policies that have resulted in tremendous progress for the students of Kentucky. I'd also like to say thank you to Governor Steve Beshear. Without his support and leadership, none of this would have been possible. He is truly an education governor. A special thanks to ECS for this recognition and for their support of our work. This award is a tribute not only to the board's work, but to all the hard work that's gone on in Kentucky public education in recent years on behalf of our children. It's been 25 years since Kentucky first made a commitment to school reform when the Kentucky Education Reform Act of 1990 was signed into law. Not quite 2 decades later, more landmark legislation, Senate Bill 1 of 2009, charted the way for the next generation of public education in our state, what we call unbridled learning. Student achievement has improved with the percentage of proficient and distinguished students increasing in nearly every subject at every grade level on state assessments. Our graduation rate of 87.5% has climbed to among the highest in the country. And we've seen our college and career readiness rate climb, as the governor said, from 34% in 2010 to 62.5% in 2014. And I'm proud to report to you that we are on target to make our 5-year goal of 67% this fall. I think all of this just illustrates our dedication to education improvement and effective teaching and learning in Kentucky. We owe it to our children to provide them with a world-class education second to none. And we, as a Kentucky Board of Education, are committed to that mission, keeping kids in school, preparing them to be college and career ready, ensuring a well-trained workforce. It's the right thing to do for our kids, and it's certainly the right thing to do for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Again, we thank you for this great honor.
Congratulations again to Kentucky for the impressive gains that they are showing and for the honor of receiving the Frank Newman Award. It was 50 years ago that the Education Commission of the States began as an interstate education compact to help states work together to improve education policy. James Bryant Conant, the co-founder of ECS, believed in the power of learning from experience. His vision that states can remain unique but still learn from each other is what created the Education Commission of the States, and it is what still brings us together this week. It is in his honor that we give the next award today. The James Bryant Conant Award has recognized outstanding education leaders since 1977. We have a short video to tell us more about James Bryant Conant and why the Education Commission of the States named its highest honor after him. If you'd please roll the video.
Each year since 1977, the Education Commission of the States has honored the memory of its co-founder, James Bryant Conant, by bestowing an award in his name on an individual who has made outstanding contributions to American education. For almost a half-century, Conant was a pivotal figure in the making of our nation's scientific, foreign, nuclear, and education policy. He worked and moved among the titans of his time.
With Mr. Dulles, American Ambassador Conant left, and German Ambassador Kreckler, Dr. Adenauer meets with the President.
He was engaged in many of the great events, issues, and struggles of the 20th century. The democratization of American higher education, the development of the atomic bomb, the reconstruction of post-war Germany, the Cold War, the battle for academic freedom during the McCarthy era, school desegregation and social unrest in America's cities in the 1960s. Conant once observed that 4 entangled strands wove the pattern of his adult life: chemistry, Harvard, Germany, and education. One of his last books, Shaping Educational Policy, served as a blueprint for the Education Commission of the States, an interstate compact created in 1965 to help states work together to improve education policy and policy making.
His own thinking about creating the compact or the commission of the states was the fact that there was a desperate need for policymakers, governors, legislators, educational policymakers, to find a single place where they could pool and share information, etc., that would not be a centralized single force for homogenizing policy.
Shortly before Conant's death in 1978, the Education Commission of the States established the James Bryant Conant Award.
The award is an honor for 2 reasons. One, that the leaders of the Education Commission of the States has identified a person on whom to bestow it. But secondly, because of Mr. Conant. The ECS is very much the long shadow of thoughts of Mr. Conant. He was critical in its founding. But it's more than that. He was a deeply humane man who believed equally deeply in democracy and saw the public schools as the great engine for preparing all citizens for their civic duties and their opportunities to get ahead.
The Education Commission of the States is proud to present its annual award for outstanding service to education in the name of James Bryant Conant, whose life and career were distinguished by vision, energy, courage, and a passionate belief in political liberty, social justice, and the transformative and enduring power of education.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 recipient of the James Bryant Conant Award is Dr. William Sanders. Dr. Sanders is known for his ardent belief that teachers and their effectiveness matter the most when predicting student academic growth. He has been a national leader in value-added assessments, and his work is the foundation of the entire accountability system in the great state of Tennessee. To accept the award on his behalf, I'd like to welcome his wife, Dr. June Rivers, and their two children, Sarah Sanders Teague and Dr. Will Sanders. Congratulations.
I'd like to read Bill's prepared remarks for you now. I'm humbled and honored to be chosen to receive this award from the Education Commission of the States. It is especially meaningful to me that this award is presented by ECS because it was this organization that first brought national attention to our research work in education. I got involved in educational research quite fortuitously. In 1982, Senator Lamar Alexander, then governor of Tennessee, was advocating for a career ladder system for teachers. Then, as now, this was very controversial, leading to the inevitable question, how do you identify effective teachers? By this point in my career, I had become enthralled with the advantages of statistical mixed model methodology for uses beyond its initial applications. I had recognized that it was a powerful tool to accomplish multivariate longitudinal analyses when longitudinal fractured records were ever present. I was totally aware of the power of blocking in statistical designs, and it was obvious to me that by allowing each student to serve as his or her own control through a longitudinal analysis, then the same advantages as with well-planned block designs could be accrued. As I read more in the popular press about Governor Alexander's proposals, I thought that if annual student achievement data were available, and if these data emanated from tests which had been developed to be highly correlated with curricular objectives, then mixed model methodology had a chance to provide answers to the policy questions which were being discussed. So in the summer of 1982, we got access to Knox County, Tennessee student achievement data. They had been giving annual tests in grades 2 through 8. We had no preconceived notions as to what we would find, but preliminary analyses, later confirmed by complete analyses, indicated that the difference in student academic progress among classrooms was large. At that time, the Assistant Superintendent for Academic Instruction for Knox County was Dr. Sarah Simpson. She had been reluctant to give us the data and agreed for us to use it only if she could see the results before any publication. We met in her office. She had invited all of her instructional specialists to attend. I proceeded to show the statistical distribution of our classroom measures. After a few minutes, Dr. Simpson exclaimed in a loud voice, I cannot tell anything about this until I see some names. So we proceeded on a spontaneous experiment. I would read a name from either the top or the bottom of the distribution and ask them to guess which end of the distribution that name came from. They correctly guessed over 90%. After that experiment, Dr. Simpson said, "Bill, you're going to let the genie out of the bottle and no one will ever put it back." We attempted to publish a paper in an educational journal describing the use of mixed model methodology in educational assessment. The paper was unanimously objected. One reviewer's single comment stated that this work was too politically sensitive and should not be in our literature. Later, I did 2 other studies with graduate students from the University of Tennessee College of Education, which gave similar results to the first study. Then nothing more until early 1990. Ned McWhirter had been elected governor of Tennessee following Lamar Alexander. He had supported Alexander's Career Ladder initiative, but by this time that program had collapsed, primarily because of a lack of reliability in teacher assessment. In January of 1990, I was asked to meet with the governor and present the results of 3 studies which I had completed. By 1992, our methodology was placed into state statute as the basis for the state's educational accountability system for districts, schools, and classrooms. We then proceeded to build and maintain for Tennessee the longest running database of student achievement data ever assembled. And from this database, we were able to address various research questions heretofore not possible. Is teacher effectiveness cumulative? Yes. Can residual effects be measured? Yes. After the application of multivariate longitudinal procedures, are SES effects still present? Minimal, if any. When teachers change buildings, is a teacher's effectiveness before and after the building change consistent? Yes. With this methodology, is selection bias minimized? Yes, it becomes a non-issue. Can team teaching and student mobility be accommodated? Yes. Have these findings been confirmed by others? Mostly, yes. In the past several years, many longitudinal databases have been created by many states, which have led to the application of many different value-added modeling approaches. I would like to offer some comments on this present status of this work. First, the more simplistic models should never be applied because they will yield highly biased results. For example, any model that uses only one prior test score in an attempt to adjust for prior student achievement data will yield severely biased results because the errors of measurement in the prior test score will bias the regression coefficient downward, making it appear that schools or classrooms with higher entering scoring students are more effective than in truth they are, and with the alternative also being true. However, the results from the most sophisticated value-added models, which use 3 or more years of student cohort data, can produce school and classroom estimates which are highly repeatable, with repeatability approaching 0.8. This is sufficient to detect highly effective teaching estimates from average and alternatively lowly effective teaching estimates from average. Today, it's often stated that there's too much testing, and I agree. Annual student testing requiring at most 3 days of class time per school year is sufficient to provide the reliable information necessary for administrators at all levels to make informed decisions. Finally, I believe deeply in public education. It has enabled a skinny kid from a scruffy dairy farm in rural Middle Tennessee to have had opportunities in life that I could not have envisioned at each step along the pathway. Thank you again for this honor. Bill Sanders.